Audio Jungle.
Alright, so over here is the sketch for this next slab vessel that I'll be making, and for this one I went with a military theme. Over here I have a pattern of M16, which is a toy plastic gun. Over here is a stealth bomber, which I made a pattern using that. And here's the famous Blackbird, and created a pattern with that. So that's what we're doing. It needs a fourth wall, and that's what I'm going to do next. And for this one, I'm going to go with a pattern of handguns and grenades. Now, I'm not going to cut it out. I'm just going to trace it lightly. I don't want to go too deep in the clay, because as I press in the clay, it's going to change the shape of the slab. I'll come back later when it's a little drier, just a little bit more stiff, and cut it out and cut all the walls at the same time. Right now what I'm doing is finding the center. I'm making a real light line that I can rub out with my fingers later. And I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Audio Jungle.
So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. I'll put this on and trace it again, this time deeper. Alright, now that I'm done cutting these to the exact size, right, I'm going to cut the corners at a 45-degree angle on the sides where they're going to join together. And this is going to look like this. So I'm going to flip it over so I don't accidentally cut off the front. And we're going to have the camera zoom in and show me cutting at a 45-degree angle. Alright, so I'm going to cut this now. The face has a decoration, so I don't want to cut off the face. So I always want to make sure the tip of my needle tool is sticking out. And I'm going to pull through that with the tip of the needle tool peeking out, while holding the needle tool at a 45-degree angle. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, as long as you don't cut off the front. And if you have the needle tool sticking out, you'll be fine. I'm going to flip the slab over and do the same thing on the other.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Next, I'm going to smooth out the seams on the inside. Now I'm going to do the bottom and the top. This side is very big enough. Set it down and trace it. also going to put a mark here and here so I know where it lines up. And I'm going to go ahead and set this over back and finish cutting the top. I'm going to make a mark here so that when I cut this side off, I don't lose track of where that mark is.
Audio Jungle.
Actually, I'm going to flip this.
Audio Jungle.
Right? Now I'm going to line it back up and get the little mark right there. The mark right there. Line those up. And the reason why I line it up is because as much as I would like to pretend that this is a perfect square, it's probably not. Now when I made impressions on the top, the clay expanded a little bit, and so it's coming out a little bit. So I'm going to trim the top. So I'm going to center this. And trace it. Outside. And the inside. And I'm going to make that mark so I know how to line it up. But before I attach that, I'm going to jump back and forth. I'm going to cut a foot for this because it'll be harder to cut a foot for this after I put the top on. Now it's easy to flip it over. And I want a foot where the bottom comes in at a 45-degree angle, so where I wipe the glaze off, it'll be invisible to the eye. And you can do that a couple of ways. You can put this here and use a cheese cutter to cut it off, or you can use a needle tool and the rulers acts as your guide, and again you hold it at a 45-degree angle. Alright, so now I'm going to cut, if you could see right up here, this is going to be the center of the Boxy bottle. That out. And clean up the inside, smooth it out with the side of the brush. And make sure there's a good bond. I'm going to press firm, but not so hard that I crush and collapse the top of my pot. I think that's about right. And last of all, I'm going to clean up the slip that oozed out. And tomorrow when this is a little drier, I'm going to spend some time hitting it with the paddle, making sure that all those walls are real nice and straight and lined up, and giving it that final shape.